Jersey, about 10 million of us today marching.
Around the world, millions of people don't want this war.
We have never gotten...
Greetings and salutations, y'all. Welcome to Truth Blitz, where we sling facts faster than a possum raid in a trash can. I'm Park Major, your guide through this hog-waller of a world, and tonight we're tangling with a mess, spikier than a porcupine in a pickle patch. Free speech versus misinformation regulation. It's like choosing between a jug of shine and a teetotaling preacher at a square dance. Free speech is the pulse of this democracy, y'all. It's why I can call Trump a tangerine tantrum tosser on air, and he can tweet back that I'm slower than molasses in January. That's the First Amendment. Raw, real, like a catfish fry sizzling on the skillet. But some folks are using that freedom to peddle lies slicker than a weasel in a lard bucket. Misinformation's running wilder than a coyote on caffeine. Convincing folks elections were jacked by robot hackers or the Grand Canyon's a government cover-up. Let's break it down. A 2018 MIT study found fake news spreads 6 times faster than truth online, 'cause lies are tastier than a jalapeno corn dog. Social media's a cesspool of conspiracies. QAnon, flat earth hogwash, you name it. The Pew Research Center in 2020 called this a trust crisis. And it ain't just riling up Granny. Lies are spark-plugging riots, eroding faith, and making folks think Area 51's got aliens running the IRS. But regulating this mess? That's like trying to lasso a twister with a wet noodle. If big tech or the Fed start playing word wrangler, they might hush real voices, especially activists who've been shouting truth since the dawn of dirt. History's clear. Governments love slapping misinformation labels on stuff they don't cotton to. Civil rights heroes, called liars. Anti-war folks, branded commie claptrap. Give the man a muzzle. He'll slap it on anyone who ain't waltzing to his fiddle. So how do we fix this without burning down the barn? We gotta balance it like a billy goat on a barbed wire fence. Lean too hard on free speech, and you're swimming in lies thicker than fog on a bayou. Crack down too much, and you're handing the censors a megaphone. Tonight, we're diving in. Why misinformation's a tire fire. Why free speech ain't just a yard sign. And how we might tame this beast without losing our twang. Hang tight, 'cause we're about to get feistier than a jackalope in a jalapeno patch.
It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and unbelievers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on.
Welcome back to Truth Blitz, y'all. We're wading through the misinformation muck heap, and it smells worse than a skunk's sauna at a crawfish boil. This ain't just your cousin's moonshine-fueled X-rants. Misinformation's a democracy smasher, a trust buster, and a pain in the patootie bigger than a longhorn's hindquarters. Take elections. The 2020 Stop the Steal nonsense? Fueled by lies spreading faster than gossip at a church picnic. A 2022 Brennan Center report said 70% of GOP voters still swear the election was stolen, despite evidence thinner than a gnat's girdle. These lies didn't just hurt feelings. They lit the fuse for the Capitol riot, with folks waving flags like it was a tractor pull gone plumb loco. Then there's the batty stuff. X posts claiming chemtrails are mind-controlled juice, or the government's got Bigfoot on payroll. A 2021 YouGov poll found 20% of Americans buy into some deep state conspiracy, like shape-shifting bankers running the Fed. This ain't just silly, it's divisive, like chucking a hornet's nest at a family reunion. It's got folks fighting and communities splitting faster than a log at a chopping contest. Now, I hear the free speech fanatics yelling, "Park, you can't rope lies without hogtyin truth." They got a point. The line's slipperier than a catfish in a grease pan. But here's the deal. Platforms like X and Facebarn ain't innocent. Their algorithms are greedier than a hog at a tater trough, pumping up lies 'cause outrage equals clicks. A 2020 NYU study proved it. Crazy content gets more eyeballs, so big tech's cashing in on cow piles. So what's the fix? Nudge platforms to demote fake news, not ban it. Maybe slap warnings on posts. Caution. This claim's shakier than a fiddler's elbow at a barn dance. But we gotta watch out. Letting tech tycoons play truth judge is like letting a coyote guard the henhouse. They're already shady throttling lefty posts, while right-wing whoppers run free as a Mustang on moonshine. We ain't saying censor it all. We're saying stop lies from spreading like wildfire in a whiskey still. Next, we'll dig into why free speech is worth fighting for, even when it's messier than a pig pen in a downpour.
Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you're the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Truth Blitz. Let's chew the fat on free speech, the rip-roaring right to flap your gums without the man slapping a gag on you. It's why I'm here, slinging truth zippier than a jalapeno jelly bean. But it's also why your neighbor can post that Elvis is rigging the lottery, and you can't do diddly about it. Free speech ain't just for folks you'd share a cold one with. It's for the oddballs, the loudmouths, the ones who rile you up worse than a hornet in a Stetson. The ACLU's been hollering this since the days of horse buggies. You let everybody talk, or nobody does. Think 60s. MLK was branded a liar, a troublemaker. If the feds could have called him misinformation, we'd still be sitting on separate buses. Same for feminists, gay activists, anybody who shook the system. The powerful love tag in dissent as dangerous to keep their boots on your brisket. The Supreme Court's got our back. In Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, they ruled speech is protected unless it's inciting imminent law-breaking. That's a bar higher than a buzzard on a barn roof. Even nasty stuff like hate speech gets a pass unless it's a straight-up call to violence. Why? Because once you let the government cherry-pick, it's a short slide to silencing anybody who don't salute their flag. But here's where it gets naughtier than a rattlesnake in a rope factory. Social media ain't the public square. It's a private saloon, and tech barons like Zuck and Muskie are the bouncers. They can boot you for saying tax the rich or smash the system. And they do. A 2021 Center for Countering Digital Hate report showed platforms were flagging progressive posts while letting MAGA fibs slide. That ain't free speech. That's a fixed fiddle contest. We gotta fight for a free internet, not just a free country. Demand transparency. Show us who's getting kicked and why. Maybe make platforms utilities, like the electric company, so they can't play favorites. But we can't let them dodge responsibility for boosting lies either. It's like handing a megaphone to a drunk at a revival. Sure, he can talk, but don't make him the MC. Free speech is our lasso, y'all, but it's a tricky one to swing. Next, we'll figure out how to tame misinformation without snipping the First Amendment.
Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck.
Welcome back to Truth Blitz, y'all. We're trying to tame this word varmint, misinformation, without hogtyin free speech. It's tougher than teaching a hog to two-step, but let's give it a whirl. First, regulating speech is a bad bet. The government playing truth sheriff? That's a disaster, like letting a raccoon bake biscuits. Look at places like Russia. Call out the regime, and you're tagged misinformation faster than you can say jail cell. Even here, a 2021 Stanford study showed feds were nudging tech companies to flag sketchy posts. That's a chill on speech colder than a penguin's patootie. So what's the plan? Hit big tech in the wallet. These platforms are rolling in dough, while lies spread like kudzu on a fence post. A 2022 Pew Research poll said 60% of Americans want social media reined in, but not by DC desk jockeys, by an independent posse. Picture a public board, diverse as a county fair, setting rules for what gets boosted. Not banned, demoted like sending a loudmouth to the back of the barn. Then there's schooling folks. We gotta teach people to sniff out hogwash like a bloodhound on a bacon trail. Finland's been doing this since 2014. Media literacy in classrooms, training kids to question sources. A 2023 UNESCO report says countries with strong media literacy have less misinfo. Why ain't we doing this? Because we're too busy drilling kids for tests like they're auditioning for a robot circus. Another trick, pump up the truth. Platforms could promote verified voices. Journalists, experts, not just randos with a grudge and a meme. X's community notes tries this, but it's spottier than a Dalmatian in a mud bath. Make it solid, like an oak in a twister. And fund public media, PBS, NPR, so truth ain't drowned out by clickbait. But here's the rub. Trust. Misinformation festers, because folks feel hosed. By elites, by media, by the whole dang system. A 2024 Edelman Trust Barometer showed only 43% of Americans trust news. Fix that, and lies lose their mojo. It's like pulling weeds before they choke the garden. We can tame this varmint, y'all, but it takes smarts, not sledgehammers. Next, we wrap up with a call to action, hotter than a fire ant on a griddle. All right, y'all, we're closing out Truth Blitz, this word wranglin', truth slingin' hoedown. Free speech versus misinformation. It's a scrap tougher than a bobcat in a burlap sack. Here's the Park Major proclamation, served up fresher than a biscuit from a cast iron skillet. Misinformation's a menace, y'all. It's rigging elections, dividing folks, and making us dumber than a barrel of bent nails. But clamping down on speech? That's like fixing a leaky faucet with a flamethrower. We gotta be sharp, not stubborn. Big tech needs to stop juicing lies for profit, tweak those algorithms, boost facts, and quit acting like they're denser than a fruitcake. A 2023 MIT study showed fact-check labels cut fake news shares by 20%. That's a start, like finding a dime in a dung heap. But the real fix is us. Quit gulping every post like it's sweet tea. Check sources, Google it, Snopes it. Don't just trust Uncle Cooter's X-tirade. Push for media literacy in schools, so kids grow up sharper than a porcupine's quills. And fund public media. Give truth a bullhorn, not just the loudest liar. Now, free speech? It's our backbone. It's why I can call out baloney without getting tossed in the clink. But it ain't a blank check to yell fraud in an election or conspiracy in a crisis. We protect it by using it. Call out lies, lift up facts, and don't let tech tycoons or bureaucrats gatekeep our gab. The First Amendment's a shield, not a club to clobber truth. So here's your mission. Truth Posse, next time you see a post claiming the government's hiding mermaids in Miami, don't share it. Dig, ask, think, and tell your Congress critter to fund media literacy, not censorship. We're in a word war, y'all. And the only way to win is with facts, not fists. That's all for tonight, folks. Keep slinging truth and keep keeping it real. This is Park Major wishing y'all a fine evening and God bless America.
Now start claiming your time and your mental well